Hey all, welcome to ShareTreck. This is Raj here, friends. This morning, the index futures are looking bright. We have Dow Jones up 0.31%, S&P 500 futures up 0.92%, Nasdaq futures up a whooping 2.03%, and Russell up 0.21%. So overall, it's looking good, and VIX is still below 20. It still looks benign to me overall. And one of the best news we have today is that ASML CEO sees low-cost AI models like DeepSeek driving more demand and not less for chips. This is going to be positive for our semiconductor sector, because when an industry insider gives some clarification, it helps the investors to move in the right direction. So I think this is a big positive for us. But overall, I think there are dark clouds. We should remember that we still are not out of the tariff threats. If you look at this news item here, which says mortgage demand drops further even as interest rates settles, that makes me feel that probably the next labor reading or job reading that we might get may show more weakness. That is the first point. Second point is that regardless of this, if a tariff is levied on Canada, then lumber imports are going to become expensive, aluminum imports are going to become expensive, and that could further drive up the cost of housing. And the reason why mortgage demand doesn't pick up and the reason why house sales do not pick up is not because people don't want houses. It's just that they are not able to afford. And we are seeing that happen in Canada right now. There are plenty of houses available for sale. There is a whole lot of listings, but the purchase is not happening. And the reason why it's not happening is because people don't have jobs. It's 6.5% unemployment, and people do not have enough salary to qualify for the mortgages. So that's the thing that I'm worrying about as a realtor. That's what I look at when I see this headline. So I'd caution you to be careful not to get overly bullish. Now let's look at the economic calendar. Today, we are going to see the Fed coming up with their interest rate decision, and then there'll be a press conference. This, I think, is going to be a critical event. So the markets could take a turn after 2:30 p.m. After 2 p.m., things could start getting a bit volatile. And I think that's where we have to focus on today. And tomorrow we'll be looking at the jobless claim and the GDP growth, which again is going to be a catalyst. Apart from this, there is a slew of earnings coming up this week. In fact, today we are going to have earnings of Tesla, Meta, and Microsoft after hours. So that could also create a catalyst, positive or negative, for the market. So let me just make a quick count of the whole thing that we are looking at. First is we are looking at the interest rates from Fed, what's going to happen there. The second, the DeepSeek issues are, I think, back burner now. It's already gone and resolved. I don't think there's going to be a spillover of that going forward. However, we're going to have the GDP growth rate coming up. That's going to be the other catalyst apart from the earnings. And also, we have to look at tariffs on Canada. If that happens, then lumber is going to become expensive, aluminum is going to become expensive, copper would become expensive because those are the imports, and they go into the construction industry. So that could create a problem, and that's what we have to keep in mind. Now let's go on to look at the futures. Nasdaq futures are looking pretty good. They are up 0.40% here. And if you look at the chart formation out here, we have a resistance which happens to be at 22,079. And right now in pre-market, we are at 21,664. So we have plenty of room to go up. And I think we'll be able to do that because MACD is still bullish, momentum is still above average and rising. So that's a positive. If you look at S&P 500, we have a bull channel that I have drawn here, and it is still intact. We are looking at a daily calendar, so each of these candles is a one-day candle, and our resistance out here is at 6156.25, and right now we are at 6098.50, up 0.02% in the S&P 500 E-mini futures. So I think that's also looking positive. If you go to the 10-year yields, they are dropping. When 10-year yields drop, the stock market performs very well, and I think that today's Fed rate decision is going to be critical. If we have further rate cuts, then this could drop down further. And if the Fed decides to take a more hawkish stance, I think that's already built into the market pricing. So that's what I'm thinking out here. Guys, if you have a different opinion, please put that in the comment section. But I am thinking that if we ever manage to break down below this line of support for the 10-year yield, it's going to be superlative for the market performance. The stock market can really go up. Now, after that, I would like to look at the indicators. And in the indicators, let's look at actual Dow Jones. It's still looking very strong. And I think we have a resistance which is going to be at around 45,061.65. We still have plenty of room to go up there. Pre-market we are up 0.31%. S&P 500 is looking pretty good out here. We have got a resistance which happens to be at 6092.01. We are already up 0.92% in this morning's pre-market action, and we are at 6067.71 within striking distance of this resistance. Are we going to be able to break through that? That's what we want to see. MACD is looking good. Momentum is also looking pretty good. Russell index is up 0.11% in pre-market action. Our resistance was at 226.63. We are at 227 in pre-market action, up 0.11%. Will this remain? That's the question. I'm just going to convert this resistance at 220.48 into a support because we already gone past that. Actual Nasdaq itself is above the bull flag that we have had in the past, and there is a gap down which needs to be filled up. We are on the way of filling up the gap down, and pre-market we are up 1.59%. We are at 21,463.04, and in order to fill up the gap down we have to reach 21,736. So there is another 300 points to go. And MACD is bullish. Momentum is also picking up. There's a good chance that we might go up. And PCC is looking bullish out here, and VIX is still looking benign to me, and we have support for the VIX at 15.88. We are at 16.53, and we have resistance at 18.16, well below 20. So I'm happy with where VIX is at right now. If we look at QQQ to get a idea of how the market might react today for Nasdaq using QQQ as a proxy, I can see that pre-market it's up 0.44%. So that's what we have out here. And in terms of market breadth, we have dropped a little bit across the board in terms of what happened in the market action yesterday. And today again we are dropping further from a market breadth perspective. So I think that most of our optimism is being driven by the MAC 6 or the MAC 7. And that's the way we have to look at it, which means that the earnings and the forward guidance of the three companies which are going to report today after hours, Tesla, Meta, and Microsoft, may have a big deal to do with the way the market might move going forward. And if you look at Nasdaq, we could probably see a huge drop happen. We have the 200-day exponential moving average, which can give us a support. And we have this other support which happens to be at 19,458.11. So what I'm basically saying is that we are at very elevated levels. There's high expectation riding on earnings, and even if the companies meet the earnings expectations which are quite high, their forward outlook for the next quarter is also going to determine how the market will behave. So please be careful out there. That's my message. With that said, now let's look at our specific sectors. Well, friends, let's look at genomics. Now we have Verve, which is down 0.14% in pre-market action, and it has been giving up all the gains that it had, and it is straddling this 200-day exponential moving average today. If we fall below this 200-day exponential moving average, then I would start becoming bearish about Verve. We would technically still be in a bull channel because we have this diagonal line of support which is still holding on to us, and we still have higher lows happening. But the moment we start having lower lows, then I think all bets are off. I'm still holding on to it because MACD is still bullish and momentum is still above average. We'll see what happens today. It will determine how we progress further. Ginkgo Bioworks is up 5.21%. I don't see any other news out there. I think it's just plain sentiment. And we have Caribou Biosciences up 2.86% in pre-market action. CRISPR Therapeutics is up 0.60% in pre-market action. We still have resistance for us out here at 42.84. MACD is bullish. Momentum is absolutely flat and just at average. So there is not much to go about here. We are witnessing a bit of consolidation, and every day we have opened up higher and then gone down, and I wouldn't be surprised if we do a repeat performance of this again today. We have Grail, which is up 4.04%. This candle setup is bullish, and we have got a strong MACD and we have got strong momentum. RSI is almost overbought, but we have plenty of room on the RSI to go up further. So I'm optimistic about Grail today. And we have Prime, which is down 6.60% as of the last trading day, but pre-market it's absolutely flat. And we have Beam Therapeutics, which is up 3.92%, and it's still above the 200-day exponential moving average in pre-market action. MACD is bullish, momentum is flat. So I'm not holding out much hope for Beam unless there is a positive catalyst that comes out. Altimmune is flat in pre-market trades. Bluebird Bio is down 0.39% in pre-market trades, still trying to stay above the support of 7.66. We are at 7.73 this morning, and the 7.66 support has held up for us for the last almost 1 week. I'm not sure if it will do so today, and we might probably fall below that and convert that into a resistance. And Allogene is down 6.74% in pre-market action. I would still hold out a hope that we might end up flat today or consolidate today because MACD is still bullish, but momentum doesn't give much option for upward movement. mRNA is down 3.47% in pre-market action. MACD is bullish, momentum is also picking up. So I'm hoping that when the market opens, mRNA will either consolidate or move up a little. And then we have ARCG, which is up 0.53%. The ETF sector mutual fund has been consolidating for a very long period of time. And MACD, even though it's bullish, is giving up gains, and momentum, even though it's above average, is a bit flat. So I'm thinking that we might probably have consolidation in ARCG, continuing the consolidation pattern. PACB is up 0.62%. Someone asked me whether we have stopped covering PACB. No, we have not stopped covering PACB. We are just looking at it, but it's not seeming to be that interesting at this point of time. And I mean, with $1.61, that kind of a range, it's more like speculating on a penny stock. So I wouldn't look at out here. I would rather focus on Illumina, which is much more promising. Intelia is up 0.20% in pre-market trades. It's still below this diagonal line of support of the previous bull channel, which I'm going to mark red and call that the resistance. So we have to break through this resistance today and convert that into a support, or else I think I'm going to be very bearish on Intelia. Then we have Illumina, which is down 1.99%, still consolidating in this range. And hopefully, I'm thinking that when we have the earnings, that might give us a positive catalyst. But till then, I think the reverse head and shoulder price target of around 103 is going to hold sway. Next, we go to IMTX, which has got no trades in pre-market session. It's bouncing along the bottom out here like a dead cat bounce. All the vitals are looking quite weak, and it could fall down further from this. And then we have got Editas, which is flat in pre-market trades. It's not been able to break through 1.42 in the last 4 days. And I'm hoping that it would be able to find strength to do so, provided it goes above average on the momentum. Iowa is up 1.62%. MACD is bullish, but momentum is not strong enough to move it further. Unicure is up 2.09% in pre-market action. There's a huge gap down, which is attracting as a magnet, but the improving MACD gives me hope that if the momentum starts picking up, Unicure should do well. We'll watch out and see what happens as the market opens and we get more data coming in. SANA is flat in pre-market trades. It's not looking that great. Vertex is up 0.30% in pre-market trade. I'm anxiously looking for it to break through above this 200-day exponential moving average, which will give me signs of bullishness. We got earnings coming up on 10th February 2025. They will talk about Casgevy sales. That could also give us a clue on what is going to happen with CRISPR Therapeutics. That's why I've added Vertex out here. So friends, that brings me to an end of today's session. And please keep in mind that we are in a very volatile week. There is high risk that the market could suddenly drop because we are at elevated levels when it comes to the Mag 7s, and the market breadth is giving way. So just be very careful out there, and I'll catch up with you again in the next video. Bye for now.